Welcome back to our next math lesson of this week, lesson 2. We're going to continue to move forward from what we've done before. So if we look back at what we did before, we did dividing 2 digits by 1 digit and dividing 2 digits by 1 digit with remainders. So we're going to use that information, the way in which we did it and the idea of remainders to help us when we come to move forward. And we're moving forward to 3 digits by 1 digit. Now, the method is the same. The principle behind how we go about it is identical. The shortcuts we can use to help us do it are the same. But what we're trying to think about is adding that additional column, adding the hundreds column, and seeing how that affects our method. So here's a few practice questions. Have a go, see what you can remember from what we've done before. Have a think about the last one. Pause now and have a go. Okay, so having a look at the first one, we've got 84, and I said the first thing to do is take a chunk of 10 out, but in this case, you could actually take a chunk of 20 out. So you could have 2 30s, together that's 60, 2 chunks of 10, which is 20. And that's the bit that you see here. That 60 is actually 2 lots of 30, and that's 2 lots of 10, which gives you that 20. Then you're left with 24. 24 divided by 3 is 8. You add the 2 together, and so you get your answer being 28. Now, as you increase that number by 1 here, we don't have enough to make another full group of 3, so we've got a remainder of 1. And in this case, you've got a remainder of 2. This is lower, though. You can have a look. So 83 is 1 less than this. We'd actually have 1 less total group here, but we also still have 2 left over, and that's because we can't have a remainder that is larger than a divisor, which is this here. This bottom one's quite interesting because we can think about this number being 49 divided by 7. Now 49 is in our times tables, and that's 7 times 7, so 49 divided by 7 is 7, but we can't forget what column it's in. So because we're doing 49 tens, it has to be 7 tens that we're dividing by. That stays where it is as a nice shortcut. So here's our first question. We've got 609 divided by 3. So we can use our counters. We can have 600s, which are here, and then our 9 ones, which are here. Now, the easy thing to think about here is that both 6 and 9 are divisible by 3, which makes our life slightly easier because we can deal with the hundreds first. Now, this is the odd thing about division. We kind of work the wrong way. We start with the largest number first, the largest column, and then divide down. And the reason for this is those remainders. When we're dividing our hundreds in 3 different ways, if we had 1 left over, we could exchange that for tens and then deal with the tens until we get down to the ones. We can exchange down to the ones, and then it's whatever ones we have left over forms our remainder. It's what's left over. So this division is the only one that we tend to go the wrong way. We don't work up from our lowest column upwards. We actually come down from the highest column. And it's something to remember because when we move forward and use different methods, it does make a big difference. So the first thing is 600s. 6 divided by 3 is 2, so we can put 2 hundreds in each of our sections over here. Still 600, you can see it there, but we just split them into groups of 2 because 6 divided by 3 is 2. We got no tens, so we're not going to do anything with them. We've got no hundreds left over. We don't have to exchange it down to tens. Then we've got 9 ones. Here they are, 9 ones. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So we can put 3 counters into each of our sections like that. And then we've made our 3 groups. 1, 2, 3. And all we're doing is just counting what's in one of our groups. We got 200, no tens, and 3 ones. So 609 divided by 3 is 203. So the next one we're going to do is this one here. Let me just make myself slightly smaller in this top corner up here. There we go. And then we've got 500, which is there. We've got 70, which we've got in tens there. And we've got 6 ones there. So 576. We're going to divide it 4 ways. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then our answer is going to be taken just from one of these sections. So the first thing is we've got 5. 5 divided by 4. So 5 divided by 4 is 1 with 1 remainder. So there we go, 1 in each one, 1 left over. And this is the reason we go the other way, because this now we can change, and we can change it into 10 tens, which are here. So we've taken that 400 away. That's a group of 100 in each. That's what that is saying. So 400 divided by 4 is 100, because it's 4 divided by 4, which is 1, and then it's in the hundreds column, so those zeros have to come down to be in that right column. Then we're left with the 10 that we had plus that 7, which is 17. Now 17 isn't divisible by 4, but 16 is. So what we can do is 16 divided by 4 is 4, so we put 4 into each of our sections here, and we're left with 1. 17 divided by 4 is 4 remainder 1. So what we've actually done, you can see it, we're in the tens column, which is why we've got that 0 there, and we've got 16. So we're dividing that by 4, which is 4, but we're still in the tens column, which is why that 0 is there. That's 40. There's 40 in each of those columns, 40 in there and 100 in here. Then we've got our ones. But before we do that, we have to deal with this 10. So we exchange it down into ones. So now we have 6 originally plus that additional 10. That's 16 in total. 16 we know is divisible by 4, which is 4, because we know our times tables, hopefully. 4 times 4 is 16. There it is. Divided by 4 is 4. So we can put in here 4, and then we pull all our numbers together. So either we add them down here using this method, 100 plus 40 plus 4, or over here 100 plus 40 plus 4, and our answer is 144. This really highlights that way of moving across, but it also highlights dealing with just one column at a time. Deal with your hundreds, see how many 4s you can fit into that 100. It's in the hundreds column, so you can think about it as hundreds. Same goes for the tens, remembering any you've carried over. So you could write down in this case 500. The closest multiple of 4 I can get, or in the hundreds column, I can get 100 in. Those zeros you can see are still there because we're just thinking about the hundreds column. It's 5 divided by 4, which is 1, with 1 remainder. So then that's my 1 remainder. It's 100. Add it onto my 70. There is 170 divided by 4, because that extra 1 remainder comes down here. And then you do the same again. And as long as you remember the way in which you're doing it and thinking about each column on itself, actually, you're getting very close to how we go about using the short and long division written methods. And we'll come to those next lesson, I believe. Then we're doing 115 divided by 5. And this is an interesting one because first off, I've got 100. I can't fit 100 into each of these boxes. I can't physically have more hundreds in here. So I can't do that. So I have to exchange it straight away. So I'm not going to have anything in this column here. Then I've got 11 tens, which is there, 11 tens. 11 divided by 5 will be 2 with 1 left over. And we'll see that happen. There we go, 2 in each one, 1 left over. So that counts as 20. 1 left over. So I'm going to, and you can see that. So if I've used 10 of those, I've got 1 left over. I think about that in terms of my 5 here. That can give me 15. So let's exchange this, see if that happens. There we go. There's now 15 ones. And then I can do 15 divided by 5. And think about it in that terms. 15 divided by 5 would be 3. So we have 3 in each of our boxes over there. And this is kind of a little shortcut, and this leads to how we might actually do it. We've thought about that. That's the group we can fit into there. Then I've got 15, but I can actually fit all of them and use all up. I've got none left over. So they fit nicely in there. So it's going to be 23. And there we go, our two different groups, our 100 and our 15, 23. So have a think, try these, see what you can do, pause now. Okay, so let's have a look. This is our first one, 700. We can use 5 of them, that leaves us with 200. So that's 26 tens. 26 tens, 26 divided by 5, but in the tens column, 26 divided by 5 would be 5 with 1 left over. So 1 left over makes that 5 into a 15, then 15 divided by 5 is 3, and then we can add the answer together to get 153 as our answer there. And you can see that's 500. 125 and 15 are our parts that we've split it into. Next one, we've got 201 divided by 3. Now, 2 hundreds can't be split equally into groups of hundreds. So then we think about it in terms of 20 tens. So in our tens column here, 20 divided by 3. So we can split that into 6 groups. That's 180 or 18 tens, and 18 tens would leave us with 2 left over if we do our subtraction. Then we carry that over to our ones column, so we'd have 21, and then how many groups do we have there? Well, that's 7, so we've got 60 here and 7 here, so in total our answer would be 67. Here's our next one. We're just going to run it through 4 with us, and you might be able to guess why we might talk about this one. But here it is. So our first group, we can fit 100 in, so we can fit 400. That's 100. The next group of 100 we could put would be 800, which we can't do. So we're left with some, aren't we? So we've taken 400 away. That leaves us with 300 left and 70. Now, we can't do 370, sorry. We can't do 370 because that's not divisible. We just ignore this for the moment. 37 is not in the 4 times table, but 36 is. It's in our tens column, so 36 divided by 4. It's in our tens column, so there's our 10. 36 divided by 4 is 9, so it's 90. And then we think, okay, so I've taken 36 away. That leaves me with 110 plus that 6, which is 16. So 16 here does work. We can put it there, and then we add that together to get our answer. And this just talks through exactly the method I've just talked about. 194. I'm glad I got it right. Okay, so now it's your turn. Have a go at these questions, please, for me. You can use the counter method, and you can use the part whole model method. If you're using the part whole model, remember you're just trying to make a chunk that can be taken out within that column, and then you have to add your answers together. Have a go, see how you do. If you do get stuck, go back, have a look at what we've done this lesson and the previous lesson, and see if that can help you. Okay, our answers for these questions. First off, Jack is working out 844 divided by 4. Now, first off, we know that each of these numbers are divisible by 4, so it should be nice and straightforward. There's our 800 split 4 ways, 2 in each, because 8 divided by 4 is 2. Then we've got 40, so 4 divided by 4 is 1, so 110 in each. And then 4 divided by 4 is 1 in each. So we talk about the method. That's how we do it. We complete the division. That gives us 200 there. 10 there and 1 there, so that's 211. Then we can use the same method in order to complete this, using exactly the same principle as how we've done this here. We can say 5 divisible by 5 is fine, 2 wouldn't be divisible, but 25 then can be divisible by 5, so shouldn't be any remainders, and the same as we go through. Then we will think over here, this is the part whole model, so working out the same question, just using the part whole model. So what she said is I can fit 800 in, which is 400 and 400, because I've got 800 there. That's 200 times 4, which is 800. 2 times 4 is 8, and it's in the hundreds column. Then I can go, okay, I can take 40 out, because here 40 is divisible by 4. It's 10 times 4. There we go. Then I take the 4 out. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and that gives us the same answer. So it works in exactly the same principle. It's just thinking about the columns that we're working in order to help us out. The next one, it says a ball of string is 848 centimeters long. It's cut into 4 equal pieces. So what you're doing is 484 divided by 4. Now, hopefully, because you've done this one, you can see the difference between this number and this number is just 4. So actually this is quite easy to do because it's just one more group. Okay, our next one we're going to model is 638 divided by 3. So we can do this either in our part whole model and do a 600 group, which is 200s, because 6 times 2 2 times 3 is 6, and it's in the hundreds column. Then we can split this down 30 and 8. 30 is easy because it's 10. 8, the problem here is that we do have a remainder. We could do 2 times 3, which is 6, and that leaves us with 2 left over, which is why we've got this remainder here. So our answer would be 212 remainder 2. You could do it another way. So you could do that and split it this way. If you knew that 36 divided by 3 was 12, then you could quite easily see that 2 wasn't divisible by 3, and you'd have that as left over. It comes up with the same answer. So here's a question for you. Tom has 317 pounds. He gives each of his each of his 5 grandchildren an equal amount of whole pounds. So we can't have pence involved in our answer. How much money does Tom have left? So what we're actually looking for is the remainder here. Have a go, see what you can do, and we'll come back to the answer in a minute. Okay, so obviously we can fill in a few details straight away. We're doing 317 divided by 5, so we can put 300 in here, and our first group is we can do 300 divided by 5. Now, the interesting thing here is that we can't actually do 3 divided by 5. So we're thinking about this in our tens column. We're thinking about 30 divided by 5, which is 6. But it's in our tens, so it will be 60. And that's how we think about it. We'll just see whether I'm right. 30 divided by 10 is 30. So 30 times 2 is 60. You could do it that way, or you could think about it like I said, which is the other way to do it, using your division skills. And then you're left with 17, which means we actually don't need this last bit because we haven't dealt with hundreds, we dealt with tens instead, actually. This case is what's left over, which is this bit here, which is 17. 17 divided by 5, we can go 5, 10, 15. We can't get to 20 because that's not enough, so we stop at 15, which is 3. Then we think about how much we have left, 15 up to 17, 16, 17, that's 2. So we've got 2 left over. So we've got 3 remainder 2. Put all that together and you get 63 remainder 2. So how much money does Tom have left? He has the remainder £2 left. Okay, have a go at these questions for me. Pause now and try. Okay, so we've got Whitney's using flexible partitioning to divide 3-digit numbers. So she's done 800, 40, and 16, and then divided each section by 4. We get down here. Could Whitney have partitioned her number in another way? And the answer is yes, she could have done. And she could have put these two sections together, which gives her 56. And 56 is divisible by 4, it's 14. So you could do it that way. And this really depends on how confident you are in knowing your times tables beyond 10 or 12. Interesting, it's quicker, but this way tends to be more accurate because you don't make mistakes as easily. And then we have, using the same method, completing the answers here, and then complete the particle models for division. So we've got this similar answers, it's just one left over. So all we're doing is checking your understanding here of having that remainder that comes in here. This should be the same as what you have been doing anyway. And what's the same or different? Well, they're identical sections. All we're doing is left with the remainder. And one extra question before you go, a little bit of a problem solving question. So Eva has a piece of ribbon. The ribbon measures 839 centimeters long. How much ribbon would be left over if she cuts it into 4 equal parts, 6 equal parts, or 8 equal parts? Can Eva cut the ribbon into equal parts with no ribbon left over? So what we'd have to do is we have to work it out. Have a go, see what you can do. Think about the parts that you're doing, and have a think about whether or not you can cut it into equal parts. Have a go now. Okay, so what we can do is we do our division, 800 divided by 4, and we're looking at what's the remainder, what's left over. So we can do 839. We can take a chunk of 800 away, which is a group of 200. We can then got 30 left here, which we can actually can't take much out of. So we then stick the 39 together. 39, we can take a group of 36 out, which is 9 times, and that leaves us with 3 remainder. The 3 remainder becomes how much we've got left over. The same happens if you do the rest of these ones, and the amounts we have left are higher. But also you'll notice it's the highest, in both all of these cases, the highest possible remainder there can be. So can she cut them into equal parts and have no ribbon left over? Now you could go through lots of different ways, but the easiest way to say it would be if you cut them all into 1 centimetre pieces, then everyone would get a centimetre piece, and there would be 839 pieces. So 839 divided by 839 equals 1. So it is possible in that regard. Okay. So thank you. I know that division is probably the hardest operation we have to think about. Take your time. If you need to go back and watch bits again, please do. Pause when you need help, and just think about what you can do in order to help yourself. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.